Hey, good morning, good people. Good morning. Today, January 18th, 2021. As you see, there will be, and as I posted, there will be no live show in studio today. We are taking the day to reflect and observe MLK Day, which is celebrated today. His actual birthday was Friday, the 15th, but the celebration or the day is recognized on a Monday. So that would be today, the 18th. I am going to give you some news and some scores. Just a little quick message, just to stay in tune with my folks, with my peeps, because I know that you guys will probably miss me if I don't. So I'm going to give you your news and your updates, and then I'll get into some scores and maybe a little message at the end before I sign off. So on the news front, the NBA has been dealing with a major issue right now with COVID 19. And I know I have been one, and you know, I have been one to praise the NBA for all the work that they did in the bubble. And I've also mentioned that with things that had started a couple weeks ago, that they might think about doing some other things similar to the bubble, where they have heightened their health and safety protocols for teams traveling on the road. And you can Google that and find that, or I'll bring that to you at another time. But there's been a big issue. There have been, so far, this early part of the season, 14 games that have been postponed due to COVID issues where teams have not been able to field the minimum of 8 players to play games. There were 2 games postponed last night. One of them was the Sixers and the Thunder. The other was the Cavaliers and the Wiz. So that is something that's going to be looked into, and I will definitely keep my ear on that story and bring you more information on that as I get that information. In other news, the Eagles are set to interview Josh McDaniel, the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots, among others that they have already interviewed. Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator for the Bills, is gaining gaining a lot of interest right now due to his success with that Buffalo team. So hopefully he can get a job. Right now, the interest is with the Houston Texans. Also, there has been talk about the Eagles still and their new coach coming in, because there's been talk and there's been rumors that the Eagles are wanting to keep Carson Wentz now that Doug Peterson has been fired. So hopefully they are mentioning that to candidates as they interview, and they can get something done really quick and get started on fixing Carson Wentz. So moving on to your scores. Yesterday we had the second day of the divisional round of the playoffs, but I'm going to give you the entire weekend. On Saturday, the Rams fell to the Packers 18-32, and the Bills beat the Ravens 17-3. Now, just a quick note about that Bills Ravens game. If you saw that game, the score doesn't reflect the dominance of the Bills. And I've been telling people for the past couple weeks that the Bills are the team that I wouldn't want to play in the playoffs right now. A lot of people have also mentioned to me, well, what about the Chiefs? They're pretty dominant too. My issue with that is, and here's the thing, the Chiefs, I know what they will do. They're either going to come out hot or they're going to get hot when they need to get hot. The Bills have just been rolling. Um, Something's going on there, and it's something good, and they've just been rolling. And I would definitely not want to play them in the playoffs. So we move on to yesterday's games. The Browns just couldn't get by. They fall to the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes getting a concussion and leaving that game, bringing in Chad Henne, who had to play in his first playoff game after I think it was a 13-year career so far. And he finally got to play in a playoff game, and he held it together, and he pulled that game out 22-17. And yesterday, I don't know what happened to the Saints. The beginning of that game looked very promising, but late in that game, it turned bad very, very quickly. I think it was like 4 turnovers. It's just bad. It just got bad very quickly, and the Bucks take that 30-20. So your championship rounds are set in the NFL. In the AFC, the Buffalo Bills will travel to Arrowhead to play the Chiefs, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will travel to the frozen tundra to play the Packers. Yesterday in the NBA, you had some games, like I mentioned, 2 games on yesterday's schedule were canceled, postponed due to COVID issues. The Cavaliers and the Wizards game was canceled, and the Sixers and the Thunder game was canceled as well. With the scores of the remaining games, you had the Knicks beat the Celtics 105-75, spoiling the debut of Kemba Walker 105-75. The Bulls defeat the Mavs 117-101. The Jazz just get by the Nuggets 109-105. The Pelicans outlast the Kings 128-123. And the Clippers beat the Pacers 129-96. Tonight's schedule in the NBA. They're going to try that game again tonight. So the Cavs are going to play the Wizards tonight. The Magic are at the Knicks. Timberwolves are at the Hawks. The Pistons face off against the Heat. The Spurs go up against the Blazers. The Suns are in Memphis to go up against the Grizzlies. The Bucks and the Nets do battle. The Mavs and the Raptors. The Rockets and the Bulls. And closing out tonight's schedule, the Warriors are in LA to play the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, like I mentioned, today is MLK Day. It is usually a day of service, but since we are still in a pandemic, in a quarantine, if you will, it's not really much you can do. So I challenge my listeners, my friends, my followers. It is a day, usually a day of service. So what I want you to do, people, is I want you to wake up, stay woke, pay attention to what's going on around you. You saw what happened at the Capitol building on January 6th, and all this is leading up to Wednesday for the inauguration of the new president. So I ask you, and I challenge you, take a minute, sit back, reflect, and think about how far we had come up until the most recent 4 years with the president that is leaving office, and think about things that have gone on in those 4 years, and especially last Wednesday. And take a moment and think about how far we still have to go. Just a thought from your boy, SportsRap D. Just a quick minute, quick video to keep you abreast of what's going on in sports and around you and in the world today. So remember, Martin Luther King Day, celebrate, time to reflect, a day of service if you can. And again, stay woke, pay attention, and think about how far we had come, and add on top of that how far we still have to go. It's your boy D signing out. See you next week in studio, Monday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. You know what time, you know where we will be. You know where to find me, at SportsRap_D on Instagram and Twitter. The webpage, sportsrapradio.com. YouTube, SportsRap TV. Podcast, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your podcast. Talk to you soon. Remember, MLK Day, day of service. Be mindful, be thankful for what you have. And just remember, we still have a long way to go.